Welcome to Redefining Engagement. I'm Francesca, Director of Audience Development and Strategy at Contribly. And in this show, I speak to leaders and innovators in the media industry so that we can bring tips, wisdom, ideas, and even some things to avoid so that we can all do more engagement better. So without further ado, let's move on to our next guest. Hi, Martin. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk a little bit more about engagements. How are you?
I'm perfect. Thank you.
Great. So I'm looking forward to this chat because I think you have a little bit of a different type of brand than a lot of the brands that we've spoken about. You work in a newsroom that started digital first, and even though you're linked to other newsrooms that are publishers, would you mind, maybe we could start off with, tell me a bit about your experience, who you are, what do you do, and then we can go from there.
Okay, thank you for that. My name is Martin Vodermair. I'm editor-in-chief for a regional newspaper or media house in southeast Bavaria, a very small area with 800,000 people in our area. And we started 15 years ago, 6 news platforms. First of all, it was the focus reach. We want to have a big reach and we want to have a lot of readers, but we recognized after a while, well, should we write for Google or should we first try to make the users loyal to our brands? And we've seen that with loyalty already 10 years ago. It's you can make a reach with loyalty, and it's a very good reach because loyal readers are coming back and is the future for every news brand. So we are focusing straight on engaging people and users on our platforms because we see that is the most important thing for the future, for our future, and to be successful in the future.
You almost started ahead of the curve compared to everybody else in that sense. How does it feel? Does it feel good?
By now, yes. First of all, people looked at us like, why don't you write for Google? You can make a bigger reach and you will be successful and you will earn more money because of more ads you showing the people. And we said, yeah, but it's not effective to us because we don't have loyal readers then. We want to know what do our loyal readers read and what do they want. And that's our focus since a long time.
And in that case, what does engagement mean to you when you speak about engagement?
Engagement means to me that the people are coming back on our news platforms. Let's call it every hour. That would be my my biggest goal. But I'm very happy if they come every day on our platform to figure out the news of the region, but also the worldwide news. So we try to show the people it's the best if you first start in the internet with our platforms, news platforms, because then you have all the news you need. And that's how we try also to create loyalty.
Okay, so return visits versus time spent on page?
Exactly.
Okay.
So right now we have a special loyalty score. We started 10 years ago. That was our first loyalty score. We looked just at the brand lovers. So we kicked out all the flybys who just come one time on our platforms by Google or social media. So we really look at the brand lovers. A brand lover is a user who comes at least every second day on our platform. And we just focused on these data. So we kicked all the rest. And so we figured out what are the news the loyal readers from our platforms want to read. And that's how we focused on this content, and we are producing this content. So we did rise the loyalty of our readers big time with that strategy.
That's fantastic. And how has it changed? Like, what was your definition before doing this? How did it develop to this point?
Well, 15 years ago, if anybody can remember, every news platform just looked at the clicks. So how many clicks do I have on our platforms? What happened? Okay, we produced a lot of picture series because every picture, clicking, the more clicks you had, the better. Then it changed into visits. The most of the news brands in Germany still look at the visits. How many visits do I have on my platform? But does that show loyalty? I don't think so, because the people still can come from Google and just come one time on your page. That's a visit too. Is it helpful? I don't think so. And then we came up with our first score, and this was really like how on every article, how many brand lovers click on this article, and how long do they read in the comment this article. So the longer the better. And so that was our score, and that's how we produced the last 10 years. Since 4 years, we now have a paywall, and we now switched from the brand lovers to our paywall readers who have the access. That's the newest switch we made. And it always made a big impact on our content and on our engagement.
Was it quite a scary switch to make, or did it feel extremely natural because your readers were pretty loyal? How did the team deal with it?
Our readers were already pretty loyal, so it was not such a big switch. And the funny thing is, first, you couldn't see a big difference on the results, so which contents they are reading. But it's got more and more special, and we saw it's more important to focus on the big regional themes. And yeah, it helped and had a very positive impact on our...
Is that the type of content that your specific audience are focusing on? It's regional, what makes them convert up till now? What's your data showing you?
Exactly, that's the regional news. That's our main focus. But as I said before, we also try to give our readers everything what's happening. So don't miss anything on our platform. So even if it's in Germany or in the world, in America, in Australia, it's a big news, we will have it on our platform. So that combination with the regional, really good content, plus content, and the free reading world news, I call it. That's for us the best combination, because as I said, we try to be the starting page in the internet for the people in our area.
And that, I guess that's a style of personalization, being extremely focused on your hyper local content is your personalization, or do you do more than that?
Sorry again.
I said, so being good at being hyper local in your area and doing great content that is specific to your area is a type of personalization for your readers, because they know that it's linked to them. Do you do more with the data that you're collecting to personalize the experience for your readers?
Not yet. Personalization is a very interesting theme also for us. So that the users have the experience always finding that content they really want to read. But we are not that far yet from the technical side. But that would be actually, will have a big impact too. I'm pretty sure about that. We just have to be careful about the English word Filterblase und Germany. German.
I just forgot all my German, all of it.
Filterblase, how is it? Let me Google for a second.
I'm gonna guess. I don't know.
Filter bubble.
Oh, that's okay. Filter bubbles. Yes. So the different content filters kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because as a news platform, you still have, of course, here, let's call it that way. With personalization, you kind of have to be careful too, because as a news platform, you have to be careful not to come in this bubble, the users that they just consume that news they are really interested in. We still have the work to do to give the people the perspective or the objective view of all the news media, which is important. Yeah. So that's why personalization can be dangerous, I would say. So on our front pages, home pages, we still put our articles by hand on there. So there's no computer or augmented intelligence putting the articles on the side for every user, special articles. No, because we want to have this, all the main important news have to be seen on the front page and not just bubble themes, I call them. So I'm a little bit careful with that personalization.
I think that's fair enough. That's interesting that you're trying to also, I'm guessing, keep the trust or grow that trust by choosing to represent their homepage in a specific way. Is it something that's transparent to your readers? Do they know that you are picking the news in that way? Or is it something that you just do and it's natural? Like, how are you communicating with your readers the values of your brand?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's a difficult question because, how do you communicate with your readers? We're trying to get into community or communicate with our readers because that's the main focus, I would say. The readers should be our focus, not Google or reach about everything. But how to interact with the readers. We always try that with special themes or content, so that we try to get the readers involved in our journalism, so that they also can bring up their theme. Maybe all the people in our area have a story. So we are trying to force them to talk with us, to tell us their themes, what's happening there. Is there something which is not fair to you or something? Is there something wrong in society? So please come to us. We have a special email address, which we communicate to all our readers, and the readers can send us their themes, their interesting stories we can talk about or report about. And this is a kind of interaction which is, in my eyes, very, very important, because as you started with the trust, it's the most important thing, that the people in our area can trust us, and that they do trust us, because that's building up loyalty if they trust us. So we are trying to communicate with them a lot. We also ask them every week for another different theme about their opinion. Send us your opinions. We are very interested in your opinions. Opinion is free, let's say it that way. And it's getting also with that content from the users always very interesting discussions. So we bring the people to think about it, to discuss about it, and hopefully getting things better in society. So that's our big goal.
I absolutely love this two-way engagement that you're trying to increase and to foster with your community. I think it's so important. I'm a massive advocate of two-way engagement. What do you think are the hurdles or the biggest challenges in your experience? What do you think is stopping news brands or even your brand from engaging better?
It's the changing society, let's call it that way. So already these days, it's already really hard to reach younger generations. Younger generations are in social media on their special platforms. It's more diversity online, so they don't come specific on a news platform anymore. They are on TikTok and the other social platforms. So it's a really big challenge for us news brands to reach these younger generations. But what do I mean by younger generations? I'm not just talking about the Gen Z. I'm talking about younger generations up to 50 years by now. So we see that already also on our news platform, that the readers on our news platform are getting older and older. And it's a big challenge to really reach the younger generations. If we don't reach them in the next years, 10 years, 15 years, then we will have the same problem, in my eyes, as the print newspapers do have right now. And it's challenging because as a news platform, it's not just creating content and hoping that the people are finding that content. The way has to switch. So we have to go out there. Where's the youth? And we have to be on the platforms where the youth is. And so this is a completely change of how we have to make news and how we have to deliver news. And this is a pretty interesting thing because it's so diverse, the social media platforms, and it's really hard to reach the younger generations. And by now we also know the younger generations say no text. They don't want to read anymore. So they want to have videos, they want to have podcasts. So we also have to change our production. So we have to make new content for the younger generations. And this is a huge challenge in my eyes. And it's, in my eyes, very important. The earlier you start, the better it will be to have
It's
a good future.
difficult. It's an expensive thing to do as well, to go from creating your written content to start going down video, podcasts, etc., and not knowing if that is going to work. There are a lot of assumptions there, and it sounds like you're potentially at a point where because you're open to that two-way dialogue, there's a chance that you might get the buy-in from your users before you go off and create the content. And that sounds like a really a strong place to be, that maybe a lot of brands wish they were in, if you have started that two-way dialogue.
Yeah.
What maybe speaking a tiny bit around strategies, what strategies have proven most effective in engaging audiences in your experience?
User needs. In the most popular person is Dimitri Shishkin. He was the first
Really
one.
is.
Who came out with the user needs. Of course, we looked at that too, and we found it very, very interesting because it makes sense. So how do we have to create or produce our content so we can satisfy the needs of our users? So you see also like the focus on our readers, not on Google or anything else. So we try to make loyalty, and the user needs had the most biggest impact in clicks on our local content and engagement on our local content, the biggest impact of everything we started before. So we implemented the user needs. We kind of changed it a little bit from Dimitri Shishkin. We named it in German names, and we reduced the needs, because I think we rolled it out in all our editing rooms. So it's very important that everybody understands what we're trying to sell our editors and how they have to handle these user needs and how they have to work with that. And so we made our own user needs, and we had a whole house strategy. So every editing room has to produce now with user needs. And me as editor-in-chief, the last 1.5 years, I was going from editing room to editing room. I had feedback rounds. I told them how we want to have this content and how it's working and how it is successful. And so to see how it impacted. So when we started with the user need, it was June 2023. And 1.5 years later, on our regional content, the clicks had been more than double than before, and our engagement almost 3 times so media time than before. So it had a huge impact, a super huge impact, and we're very happy about that, because it also helped us with our paywall, and we made 3 times the subscriptions than before we're making now. So the user needs had really the biggest impact of all.
Martin, that is an absolutely huge cultural change for the newsroom. And I always find that, you can have all the tech in the world. It's people that is the hardest thing to kind of move over. It sounds like you did a really good job with all of the different newsrooms. What made it successful? What did you do you think, that was so important that all of your editorial teams kind of made that change? What was that?
The mentality of the whole media house, because our highest bosses communicated openly to every editor, we are producing now in this direction. So please swim with us in this direction. We will be very successful. So as you see, all the leaders in our editing or media house had been forced on this one theme starting 2023, user needs. So everybody was in the boat, we say in Germany. And I think it's very important that not just a colleague is doing the teaching, the learning, the feedback rounds. I did it myself as editor-in-chief to show them also like, oh, this must be really important if the editor-in-chief is we are teaching us how we have to write these things. And we did this for 1.5 years now. And I think that's very important that the whole media house is going that strategy and not just let's try it with one editing room. Yeah, we made a test first with one editing room, but that was very successful. And then we completely rolled it out on everything. And so everybody has to be in the boat and has to go in the same direction. That's the most important thing, I guess, because I've seen it in other German media houses. Yeah, they made smaller steps and not just like a huge break. Okay, we do it all new now. And they've been not that successful than we have been because it was not so strict. Okay, we do it one way. Everybody goes this way. And that was very important.
Do you know what? I have worked with quite a few media brands now, and I don't think I have heard of the whole company changing at the same time. I think you're so right that we tend to go, oh, we'll have the test of this one news brand, and it tends to be the smallest news brand, sometimes with the least people, and poor them, they are like the guinea pigs for so much of what's going on. I really love the fact that you inspired the team to go on the journey with you. It sounds like an extremely successful way of doing it.
Well, it was very interesting because to explore a little bit, we are two main editing rooms, the newspaper editing room and the online editing room, both big editing rooms. And since we implemented the paywall, our plus model, we are working together. So that was very interesting because the newspaper editors had been very scared about KPIs. And so, they are measuring my work and stuff. So they've been very, very scared. And this could also be a problem that it will not work. So I always was trying to show them the positive effects. So if you write it this way or this way, what will be better? Here's the numbers. So see, you're getting better. Your numbers are getting better. So of course, we also looked at the articles which didn't work with user needs. But the most important thing for me was to show the people, see, this is working. Why is it working? Because you used that perfect user need and you made that content really perfect. And so you motivate them to go in there because they are seeing they are successful with that new strategy.
So much positivity. It really helps. It really does. And within that, could you maybe share with me an example of audience engagement that might have surprised you?
Yeah, especially the user needs. Was that what you're talking about?
Oh no, or in general, like. So I'm guessing, so you changed the way the editorial team wrote, thought through content, planned everything out. I'm guessing because user needs is core to that, it means that you're thinking of your reader from the start. It's not a, an afterthought anymore. Have you got any specific examples of content or ways that your audience have engaged with this new content that maybe surprised you? You weren't expecting it to go that way.
The first point is very interesting because in the past you always said the more articles you produce, the more successful you are. And this is now the opposite. So we are producing less articles, but we put much more time in it, in research and to make the article really good and long. So we produce less articles, but we are more successful with that. All the engaging time, media time. That's the one part. And the second part was what we really learned is to make series of a theme, to stay on a theme. So in the past, it was always something happened, a deadly accident or something. We wrote about that accident and that's it. The theme was over. Now we are thinking, so is that a dangerous street? Has there been more accidents before? Is it maybe important to change something on the street to make it more safe? And actually, with this kind of constructive journalism and series to make one thing bigger, to make it a theme, really helps also in our area, in the society. In one theme, they really made a crossing point on the street better, so that there won't be any more accidents anymore. So I think the most important thing is really to look at the KPIs, to see which themes are working, and then stick on the themes, make it big, the theme. Look at the theme from all sides, from different perspectives, different user needs, and to make the big themes. I think there are many examples which had been very successful. So this is more thinking about the theme. What does that theme mean? Is there a problem in that theme? How can we use that as for constructive themes? And that's probably the most learning we made with implementing the user needs, that staying on that point of view.
I love that. And going back to what you were saying around your challenge, because I actually thought it was very interesting. The recent Reuters School of Journalism report came out, and it talked about the challenges of attracting new audiences to our platforms. And you mentioned that, like, young people, getting people from social media. And they also mentioned, like, the expectation of, like, high standards and transparent approach and lack of bias. Like, people have high expectations. Have you done anything that has worked on that front? And or even if they're small examples, it's actually extremely useful.
Difficult to say. If I understand you correct, yes, you need to have the trust of the readers. And to build up trust, you have to communicate with your readers. So we try to explain the readers sometimes why we're doing things this way, or why are we doing this way. But on the other hand, we also try to give everybody a community on our platform. So we try to be really, really neutral. Of course, we try to select the news and put them in the right space, but we are open for different opinions, which is in our society these days, I think, very, very important, because it's not just black and white, and people have different opinions. And I think it's very important to give them also a platform where they can show their opinions. And so you get into discussions with different opinions with your readers and so on. So you're trying to be there for them and give them a platform. And that's, I think, a very important thing.
It's become almost an expectation from people that they should be able to have a voice. And there's more ways of communicating than ever before. And I don't think people necessarily feel listened to. So in this world where you are trying to build those communities, it could potentially be an extremely powerful thing for readers and for individuals to feel better within their society and to have a place. Social media doesn't necessarily do that. And I think that leads on a little bit to technology. What do you think the role of technology, like AI and data analytics, for example, play in your audience engagement?
It plays also a very important role, especially when you try to reach a new audience. Let's call, for example, the audience young parents. Okay, let's focus on them. We recognized, okay, our readers are getting older and older, and younger parents are not in that time or age range which we have on our platform. So let's try to focus on this new audience. And to be successful, to make a new audience loyal readers, you have to produce a lot of content. And of course, we cannot produce every day three articles for young parents with user needs. It would take too much time for that. So their augmented intelligence is very, very important for us, because service pieces, service articles, especially for young parents, now the AI can write for us. So this is more like to have the quantity in the background, that we have a lot of articles for one special audience, and then on top we produce the special user needs articles also for that special audience. And that combination, I hope, we are starting to try to reach these new audiences this year, and I hope it will work this way. That's at least my theory. So in the background, the quantity, AI, very helpful AI articles, and then we produce our plus articles on top.
I'm very curious around the AI for content, because I feel like there are two types of media brands. There's two types of people. There are the people who are like, no, I don't want AI to ever write my content. And it's almost a fear. And then you have the people who are like, oh my gosh, AI is going to completely help me create more content. We keep talking about liquid content. So we write one piece and AI will transform it. So you sit more on that side, do you, of the AI can help us?
Absolutely. AI is like a tool.
Yeah.
It's nothing else than I see it as a tool. We also work with correcting tools. So is my text correct written? So I also see AI as a tool. And why shouldn't we use that tool if it helps us? It helps us especially to spare time for the more important things we have to do.
Yeah.
So AI helps us to optimize processes in the news editing room. AI can take over, for example, all the emails, sorting them out, which is a press release, which is from a freelance author. And so the AI can put that stuff already directly in the CMS.
Yeah.
So we just have to control and publish it. So there is no human, at the least, there's a human in the loop before all the AI is doing the process. So that helps us to have time for doing really good content, to go out, to research, to meet the people again. That's the most important thing too. We have to go out again. We have to talk to the people and not just on the phone. We really have to see them, like in the past, how it was in the past. And that's why AI is so important, because it helps us to create this time we need to produce the good content with user needs and so on.
And maybe going on impact, what impact for you has increased audience engagement had on your organization's bottom line and loyalty? So you're talking about, you've mentioned, you've mentioned a few bits of data, but I'm interested in a bit more. Maybe you've mentioned that focusing on engagement has been a massive piece. You've then gone into the subscription model. Is there proof that this engagement, and what type of engagement, is actually giving more value to your bottom line, to your subscriptions? How are you linking that? Because people talk so much about measurement, but they don't necessarily directly link that direct engagement to the money.
So you mean like the impact, how we survive with earning money and with
We've mentioned measurement a little bit in terms of, okay, you're increasing subscribers. We mentioned measurement as in you're looking at brand lovers. How are you measuring in terms of how that equals money? Are you linking the two? Have you got a direct measurement, or is it very much like, if we do more of this, we see that we get more subscribers? Have you created like a way of measuring it directly from one to the other?
Not really. We just saw like, okay, our engagement is rising, and parallel the subscriptions have been rising too.
Yeah.
So we see a direct connection between the reading time, the media time, the loyal readers are on our platform, and the increase of our subscriptions.
Yeah.
So if the media time goes down, our subscriptions goes down. If the media time rises, our subscription rises. So it's really a parallel thing. So that's why we're focusing on that KPIs, trying to engagement and reading time. That's the most important thing to see if it's working or not.
And have you experienced any pitfalls in audience engagement? Have you ever done anything and you thought, yeah, that didn't work, we could have done that better? What are the things that people should avoid doing if they're going down this route?
Difficult to say. Actually, it was always, we've been very successful with our engagement strategy. So never was that negative, I would say. I think the most important thing is really that you have that strategy, that main strategy in the whole media house. So from the highest boss to the lowest editor, everybody has to know which direction are we going, why are we this direction going, and everybody is on the boat. And that's the most important thing, I think. You have to have a strategy, you have to implement it, and everybody has to follow this. And you have to, as editor-in-chief, you have to show, of course, it's working, like giving the positive feedback.
And where do you see the future of engagement going in the next 3-5 years? What can you imagine it happening next?
Yeah, it's getting more and more difficult, as I mentioned before, because it's getting more and more harder to reach the younger generations. So that is the biggest challenge for me in the next few years, to switch your focus, not just on articles. So we need videos, we need podcasts, we need new content. And for that, the earlier, the better, to start to build up new teams. That's what we will do this year. Starting in April, I will build up 2 new teams. The first one is called Young Audience. The second one is called Special Audience. Young Audience, we're trying to reach the Generation C. And with the Special Audience, as I mentioned before, we will figure out which audience could be working. So young parents, in our area, a lot of people are driving every day by train or car to Munich, to the next bigger city. It's always a lot of traffic. And so maybe this would be a very good audience to engage to our platform if we give them in the morning every time the informations, hey, how long will it take you to drive to Munich by train, by car? There's an accident. If you have to live ticker, something like that. So that will be the unit for the special audience. So we're really trying to make new teams. They are doing different content. And this has nothing to do with subscription. This will be free content that we can make the new audience loyal. And so we really try with two new teams to reach these new generations, because it's really, really difficult. And if we don't manage to succeed, our future will be not good. I'm pretty sure about that.
It's great that you're going down the niche. You're saying let's focus on one area and stop doing extra stuff and actually just do a few things better. That's what I've taken from a lot of what you've said. Which, a lot of people need to hear that, including myself in life. Yes.
No, but this is really the most important thing in the next 10, 15 years. How do we reach these younger generations? How can we make them loyal readers to our platforms? Because this will be our future, the readers, and not Google or anything else.
No, definitely not. One last question for you. What is an engagement hack that you might have for someone who's maybe starting out on their engagement journey? What's one thing that they should be doing, or a little something for them?
I have a good example.
Yeah.
It was also one of our first tries to make some interesting content, and it was so-called beer battle. So we have a lot of breweries in our area. And we kind of made a tournament, like a soccer tournament. So one brewery is playing against the other brewery. The winner goes in the next round. So I think it had been 32 breweries. And so every brewery against each other, like we have a quarterfinal, half final, and then at least the final. And the users had been the people who decided who will win. So it was just a simple poll. Which brewery do you like better, the left one or the right one? And it got so viral, this story. So we've been driven this for 2 months. So it was a long experiment, and it was such a success. We had so much new users on our platform because everybody wanted to have his favorite beer winning this competition. So we didn't need to make much advertising for that. It just got viral by itself. And we won a lot of new readers by that, and not just readers. Actually, the brewery who won is now a partner of our media house, and so we had another money income by that too. So it was a win-win-win situation. And that was so successful that we did a lot of these kind of battles, beer garden battle, bar battle. We did a lot of things like that. And then we thought, okay, let's make something more serious, which was also very successful. So that was the so-called city surveys. So we asked our users, what do you like about your town? What you don't like about your town? So we had a list of a lot of points. And then we also made a poll, asked the people again, which themes would be the most important themes for you guys? So we had a ranking of the themes, and then we went to the town, to the mayors, and asked them, look, this is the opinion of your people in your town. What can we do about this negative point? And so with this, we engaged the users very much, and we did make things better by that. So because the politicians, of course, looked at that and they had a point of view, okay, we have to do something in this because the people don't like it. So things changed to better, and this was a huge engagement driver, for example.
I've never heard of a more Bavarian thing to do a beer battle.
What?
I don't know. It just makes so much sense, doesn't it?
It does.
It sounds like you're so good at tapping into local, like really the local part of it, and gamifying what's happening. People feel like, oh, this is exciting, it's fun, and also they're passionate about the ones that they feel the closest to, and they want to see where it goes. So you've really tapped into so many emotional parts of your audience and local businesses. So in terms of new revenue, absolutely, congratulations. That's such a great example. I love it.
Thank you.
Martin, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I can't wait to hear how you get on with increasing your subscriptions even more and your young audience.
I'm wondering too. We will see. But thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.